Hey everybody, Liam Klistrom here for the first sensationally scrumptious oatmeal of this session. If this is your first School of Motion course, thank you so much for joining us and this amazing community. As this is a beta, it is likely not your first course. However, congratulations on continuing your steps inside of School of Motion. As a multi-alumni myself, I know how big a deal it is to keep pushing your career and skills here. So before we jump into the exciting critiques I have planned for you, I like to cover some general things, a little bit of recap, also known as housekeeping. So what is housekeeping? Well, it's just like a little recap of things that I've picked up from students' emails to me or what I see going on. And having been a TA for another course for a while now, I've noticed some things and I like to pass that on in the first week and as the weeks go on. So first things first, don't fall in love with your work or hold it on a pedestal. Everybody's here trying to learn. It's gonna go from decent to awesome by the end of the course. And the more you can just let your work go and get feedback and then take the feedback and run with it and use it to hone your skills, the better you're going to do. The more you fall in love with it and hold it on a pedestal and get offended by critique or feel like you're doing something the way it should be and the TA or teacher's wrong, the less you're going to get out of the course. So, use the feedback, use Facebook, use everything that you're getting out of this course to your advantage to really better yourself. Next, don't rush through the projects seeking to get featured on the oatmeal. I know it happens based on the other course that I've TA'd. Students have told me they were trying to rush to get in on time to be featured on that boot camp, and it really diminishes the quality of work. It makes you forget things easily. You forget to watch the entire video, so you miss out on key elements, etc., etc. So really, don't rush through projects seeking to get featured on the oatmeal. If you get featured on here, that's awesome. It's not any kind of rite of passage. It's not to better your career and get in front of millions of people. It's really a tool to help everybody be on the same page and dissect things a little bit deeper than you can just through text. All right, next, get involved on Facebook and give real feedback. That really doesn't seem to be like a problem for you guys. You guys are really involved. So that aside, what I mean by give real feedback is don't just tell somebody you like something. That's not doing them any favors. Really get in there and say, oh, it looks like if you moved your keyframe 1 frame or 2 frames, it might slow this down, it might make this smoother, etc., etc. The more you can start using the language that you're learning and the skills that you're learning and passing it on to others, the more it's actually going to stick in your head too. One of the best ways to learn is to teach. So you're essentially learning and teaching at the same time by giving others feedback. And then last, this course is going to hurt kind of in the sense of stress more than physical, but you might get a headache or two. Really what that means is we're throwing a lot of knowledge at you, so don't feel bad if you get overwhelmed and get stressed out. That's part of the course. It's one of the best ways to learn things is just to really dive as deep into a topic as possible and just live in it. And of course, it's going to get overwhelming, as I said, but by the end of it, you're going to look back at where you started and where you are, and you're going to be amazed with your new skills. And lastly, this week's goals. So this first lesson is to teach you pretty much all you need to know on how to get around After Effects, move things around, and create animation. And that's basically taken right from the student portal, so you've seen that before. Nothing extremely difficult. You're going to be using what you pretty much picked up in the 25 steps lesson, as well as everything Noel gave you here. So as the course continues, it really compounds on top of itself. With all that covered, let's jump into the first critique. All right, so first up we have Lozan. Lozan, if I am saying your name wrong, please shoot me an email and let me know, and I will do better in the future. So there's 2 versions here. The first version she submitted, I gave her feedback on. She really ran with it, got another version in on time, and so we're going to watch the first one, and then the second one, and we'll dissect both a little bit. So here's the first one. All right, so let's dissect this a little bit. So right here, this looks good, and right there. So something that could help make this a little bit stronger is just adding the click in. There's a good bit of pause. Might be able to pause for another frame or so. So just a little bit more pause and then the click. So the viewer knows and anticipates that the cursor is clicked onto this, dragging, and then clicks off of it. Nice little pause there at the end before moving on to the next animation. And jump back far enough, there we go. So you get that nice little pause, and then click there. And there's a good pause when you click here too. So nice click, little pause, and then you move. So you've got the pauses down really nicely. We come into here, some good pauses there. Might be able to extend it a frame or two. Let's see. Right there. Especially that first one. Yeah, just a little bit more pause on that first one. Slide it over, and then the next one's fine. Right here, you've got some good pause. And then coming into this, you've got a fantastic pause. So, like that's like just the right beat of a pause. So boom, right there. And then you've got the progress bar that comes on. So overall, really great timing with your pauses. A couple additional clicks could come on here and there, especially in this area. So you click, and then a click added there, click, and then a click added here as well. And we come in here, we get a really nice pause, and then the click with the transition for the progress bar. So that's really all the feedback I had for this one. It's a great start, and the fact that you went and did another one is awesome. So let's pause for a second and I'll bring up that one. All right, so here's version 2. Come in, you got the little click in there now, especially coming off. Click there, click there. Got your clicks in here. Great pause. And the progress bar. So some things I'm noticing are the timing's a little off for the click there. So let's jump. Come in, click, and then drag. So if you come in, pause this, and I'll go frame by frame. Right at the apex of your click, come down, and then you can start moving. Just a little too much of a pause before you start moving. And great scale down, holding on to that, and then you come back up. Great pause here, and then you come over here. It looks like there's a little bit of difference in animation between the two. So right here is quite a big anticipation. You don't need to scale up that much. I don't have your file open and can look, but I would say that you're probably coming up at 120% here, maybe come up 110 or 115. And then this one down here is a lot softer. So the initial click comes in, and then the anticipation is just a little bit softer, and then it comes down and click, and that's perfect. So something you can do in After Effects is copy and paste keyframes. Once you get your click exactly how you want, then you can copy and paste them throughout so they all line up and have a continuity to them. When we come into this one, it looks like your pace is a little bit faster than when we leave here. It really starts to fly in. So just make sure you're keeping that up. Good clicks throughout, good pause. Again, a little bit of timing issue with the clicks, so let me go frame by frame. All the way back, so coming in, click there. So it looks like there's a little bit of a bigger scale here on this one too. Looks like you used the same keyframes for the first introductory click. So just a little bit too long of a pause coming in. So you can pause here for a second, not even a second, but say 2 frames, then click, and then immediately start dragging. The pause right here is a little too long. And that's a good pause right there at the end. That's almost perfect timing. Good click. Again, looks like it's a little bit more than the other ones that we've seen. Good pause right there. So I'll let this play out again. Nice pause. Nice pause. You can kind of tell with this first one what I mean. So when you come in, sorry for the slow frame by frame, guys. When you come in, you click and drag, you've got the click almost starting right at the apex of the click. So click, comes down, and there's maybe a 1 frame delay. Let's see, 1, yeah, so 2 frames. And the other ones, it seems like there's maybe 3 or 4. So just those little tweaks make a huge difference in animation. And you're probably thinking to yourself, man, this is annoying frame by frame. But those are those little things that when you go to watch it back at full speed, really make it feel smooth. And then coming in here, it's just a slightly different pace again from the exit. So pretty fast, and then a mild pace again. So make sure as you're leaving, you want to try and get the pace just about the same. But right here, and I've said it every time we've gotten here, that pause is just so perfect of anticipation. Lets the viewer know, look here, okay, they're looking, and then you follow through with getting their attention by clicking. So that's really smart. So overall, really, really great job, Lozen. I think if you just make a couple more tweaks, if you want to submit a 3rd version, that you're well on your way to almost having a perfect video here. So great job. I'm excited to see what you do in this course. Let's jump into the next student. All right, so next up we have Chris. Chris has done a great job. Let's take a quick look. Cool little anticipation back there. Like the little staggered build up. So I think what I've noticed a couple places is you're trying to use arcs in your animation, which is really smart. Especially you can notice it right in this area. We come down from scale, click that on, and then you've got a little bit of arc in there. So I'm sure the way you did that was by following Noel's instructions with adjusting the Bezier handles on your path. And it looks like there's almost an extra bump right in there before it lands. So the arc should land probably there or there, and you just need to pick one or the other. And if there's an extra bump in your curve, that happens sometimes from the Bezier handles, and that's just getting those handles just right so it doesn't have any weird peaks in it. And then click. So right here the timing is off just a smidge. So the click starts to happen right here, and at the apex of that, the push down right there, is when the stopwatch should start to light up and come on. Otherwise, great start right there. I really like the use of arcs that you're trying to incorporate here. In animation, arcs are a huge deal. If you guys haven't taken Animation Bootcamp, that's one of the foundations of doing great animation. So right there, I like this little hesitation. It kind of feels true to life. Or if I'm hovering here, and then, did I get it? Oh yeah, I got it. Okay, I'm gonna go over here. So that's really, really smart thinking. And then kind of hesitation, and then back over here. All right, let this play through again. So that's good. You could probably use a little bit more pause when you come in. Yeah, just maybe 2 frames. Probably 2 frames would do it. Looks like you have about 1 frame hold now between all your holds. So let's see. Come over right there. Oh, I guess it's 4 holds. Maybe. Let's go back to the beginning. Well, maybe it's just the movement that I'm seeing that's making it feel a little bit fast. I think that's probably what it is. So so you can kind of slow down how you're sliding those over. The pace up here is really good for speed. So that's not feeling rushed. But right here in the beginning, this is feeling a little bit rushed. So your hold is right, but I'm not quite picking up on how long the hold is because the movement is so fast. So little things like that can make a huge difference. So originally I thought, okay, it's got to be the hold, but in reality, when you watch it a couple times, it's the movement is so fast that it's kind of playing an optical illusion on me, thinking that it's the hold. I come off over here and good pace leaving. Feels like the same pace coming in. Nice click. That's something I'm noticing here too. Make sure you're incorporating your clicks. And one more time. It's a good click. And then the staggered. I'm gonna kind of jump frame by frame a little bit in here. So come in, got your good pause. So again, kind of like the stopwatch in the beginning, you want the apex, and what I mean by apex is like the very peak of the click. So if you're ever driving around a corner, the apex is the kind of central point in the curve that you're driving around. So the very top of that, right about there, I'm expecting it to light up and have changed over. So it's a little bit delayed to right there. But just about, you're just a couple frames off. And then that little staggered approach is really nice. So Chris, great start. With another version, maybe 2 versions, you're just about there. Just kind of the speed that you're moving the cursor at sometimes, and your holds and clicks just need a little bit more finesse, but you've got all the basic ingredients. It's just, you know, like cooking. The more you do it, you're gonna figure out, okay, the steak really needs to be turned over for 9 minutes, not 10 minutes, and things like that. Just little nuances that you pick up the more you use After Effects. Overall though, great start. Let's jump into the next student. All right, next up we have Kenza. Kenza's done a great job. She's got 2 versions in as well, so we'll watch the first version, dissect it, and then go into the second one. So here's the first one. Pulling that over. Got the adjustments there. Nice arc coming in from the top left. I like that little touch on kicking butt. So let's dissect it just a bit. So that comes in really nice. One of the notes that I gave was there's a little bit of delay right in here, so make sure those keyframes are lined up so it's dragging properly. And there's no clicks happening either, so just make sure to add in the clicks. And a little bit of delay here too. So again, lining those up, sliding that over, sliding that over. And I think as I watch this, and I've communicated a little bit, that these delays are intentional because of, you'd think, all right, there's a little bit of drag behind of what the cursor would actually be doing. That makes sense. That's really smart thinking and problem solving. However, computers are so fast now that you don't really get those hiccups like you used to. But I really get the understanding behind that. And then as you come in here, great landing. Good arc, boom. And to show what the arc is, and I talked about it a little bit, so most animations based on arc, come in just right here and start to arc in instead of straight across and straight lines. In life, most people will move their arm in a slightly natural arc coming in. When you're walking, there's a little bit of an arc to your steps, things like that. So again, big theme in animation are arcs. And love this little touch right there at the end of the blinking, kicking butt. So that's really about it. It seems like most of it is the timing of the drags. And I also noticed too that this alignment's off. Not a huge deal, but in After Effects, it does line up right there on those peaks. And just those drags right there. And I already noted too the clicks. So let's jump into the second version. All right, so here's Kenza's second version. Watch this through. Good click added. Click. Got all those clicks added in now. Good arc. Little staggered approach now to this. And then the kicking butt. So again, right in here, a little bit delayed still, and I've looked at the file, and you started messing around with easing and different timings for keyframes. So for those of you who are wondering how to get more precise and more control of your keyframes, Noel will go over that soon. There's different ways of doing it, like easing in, easing out, easy ease, and all these different things that you can do inside of a graph editor too. So get ready for that. That is coming. So great playing around with that. However, it's still a little bit weird that there's that delay there. and your timing for the click is just a little bit fast. So come back here. We just want to have that delay. It almost looks like it's ricocheting a little bit because it's so fast, even though it does stay scaled down. Good clicks right there, good alignment. And you could probably slow down just a little bit in here so the viewer can really process what you're doing. So just a two frame pause probably on each of these grabs. And then it looks like you sped up the arc coming into this a little bit too. You got like an S curve to it. So yeah, it's kind of like an S, that's cool. But it's also fast now. So if you can get it to the pace that it was in your first version, that S is really neat to watch come in. Do it one more time. Yeah, so Kenza, really great job. Way to kick butt. Just to throw that pun in here since we're looking at this. If you can just clean up the drags a little bit, and I know you're experimenting with the easing and different keyframe styles, so that's great. Just pay attention to those little nuancy things about how the timing is working when it's dragging and how it may actually react in real life. It's cool to exaggerate things in animation, of course. How we're inside a program, it's going to be pretty mathematically correct, but the next projects that you do are going to be awesome, and you can experiment with all that stuff, of course, and keep experimenting as you go through the course. That's the best way to learn a program, at least in my opinion. And everyone else that's watching this, I see everything that you're throwing up on Facebook and getting on the portal, and everyone's doing a phenomenal job. I've noticed that my critiques are pretty minimal for you guys. You're really paying attention to Noel's teachings, and that's awesome. So if you have any questions, my email is liam@schoolofmotion.com, and I look forward to seeing everything you guys do in the next week.